AM 1460, the new WXBR. You are listening to the Metro South Morning Show. Peter Zimbor here with you on this Friday morning. Tomorrow night at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, Dan Finnerty performs with his comedic band, the Dan Band. You may have seen them on The Tonight Show and in movies such as The Hangover and Old School. And joining me right now to discuss is none other than Dan Finnerty himself. Dan, welcome to the program.
What's up? How's it going?
It's going well. Dan, this is somewhat of a homecoming for you as you spent a significant amount of time in Boston during your college years, correct?
Yeah, I did. I went to Emerson.
What are your memories of Boston during your college years that you look to rekindle as you make a visit this weekend?
Well, I think my biggest memory is gone, which was a place called Buzzy's, which was, I think, over at the end of Charles Street, and it was where you went at 4 a.m. when you were wasted to get probably,
So you were more buzzed.
Heart attack food.
You were already buzzed, and you went to Buzzy's to get food to perhaps soak up some of the alcohol so you weren't as buzzed making your way home.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I get the concept of that place's name already.
It was brilliant. It's a tragedy that it's gone.
So now that that's gone, is there any backup plans or go-to places you have to hit up while you're in town?
Well, I guess I'll go to Star Market or something.
Star Market, okay.
Is that one still out there in Newton? The one above the road?
The nearest Star Market, you know what? There is one in Newton right above the road. That's right, on the highway.
Yeah, come on.
The nearest Star Market I know is Quincy, so.
Oh, all right. What happened? They're going down?
Shaw's Stop and Shop Market Basket is the big supermarkets out here. There's not too many Star Markets.
That's tragic.
And you know what? Even some Shaw's are going downhill. How do we get in discussion? We're getting on a discussion about the trends in the supermarket industry. We're chatting with Dan Finnerty here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. If you care to opine on any more business trends within the grocery industry, feel free to opine, Dan. But we want to talk about your show this Saturday night at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. For those who may not be familiar with what you are and what the Dan Band is, describe your show.
Well, it's, the best show I've ever seen. And I haven't even seen it. I've only been in it. But it's, we just started off, I was just drunk at karaoke years ago and sang I Am Woman and thought it was funny. And then that really spun into a show because my friend was performing in Los Angeles and she said, I need someone to open for me so it looks like I'm headlining. Will you just jump up and sing a couple songs? So I sang I Am Woman and You Light Up My Life and Flashdance. And then I started getting booked in L.A., so really, it was just a joke. People are like, when's your next show? I'm like, never. Every show I did, I thought was the last show I'd do. And then I just kept adding songs and got backup singers. And, it just got more ridiculous every show.
Getting drunk and going to Buzzy's, getting drunk and doing karaoke. I'm sensing a theme in your life right now, Dan.
There's definitely a theme. Is this my intervention right now?
I didn't want to tell you, but your family has been in touch with me, and A&E camera crews will be making their way into your home or wherever you are immediately.
All right, just give me Candy Finnegan because she's the only effective one on that show.
So you watched the show, apparently.
Oh, my God, I love that show. Are you kidding?
I've only seen it a handful of times at best, and it was years ago. They still play it, or are they still making new episodes?
It just got canceled this year.
Oh, man.
As if they'd cured everybody.
That's a tragedy. There's a lot of kids out there that need help, and I think that perhaps they would see what is going on via intervention and maybe not do OCs and heroin and drink a lot of alcohol.
Oh, yeah. Like sniffing computer dusters and
whole
new world, man.
Once you get the
Buzzy's
sniffing,
is gone.
Buzzy's is gone. Star Market's going downhill.
Called Molly.
Ecstasy's called Molly. It's a crazy world.
I know.
We're chatting with Dan Finnerty here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. I think everyone's been to a karaoke bar at some point in their life and seen that drunk jackass making a fool of himself who was either really entertaining for the right or wrong reasons. You were some semblance of that guy at one point and essentially turned it into a career for yourself.
Yeah, I went from making a fool of myself to making a living for myself. How about that?
So how did you first get booked? I mean, how did these clubs first get in touch with you? When they first came to you and asked you to perform at their nightclubs and whatnot, did you say to yourself, well, I'm not really a professional entertainer. I'm not really a performer. This really isn't an act. And they said, no, it is?
Well, I was a performer because I went to Emerson thinking I was acting. So I thought I'd just move to California and, be like the schlubby neighbor that came in every couple pages, said a funny line in a hoodie and left. But, so I was out there to be
You wanted to be Newman.
An actor. I wanted to be who?
You wanted to be Newman from Seinfeld. You wanted to make guest appearances now and then. That's the guy you wanted to be.
yeah, I want to hang out at the craft service table, just not be needed too much, but enough to get a parking spot at the lot and maybe a shared dressing room. I wasn't aiming too high, but whatever.
Set the bar low, and if you hurdle over it, everyone says there's greatness upon you, right?
Yeah, then, achieve your dreams. Set the bar low. But, yeah, so I just, what was the question? Something good.
I have no idea what it originally was.
Yeah, no.
How did you end up getting booked?
I started playing at this. Really, it was what I said. That guy just came up and said, "When's your next show?" Because he booked the Viper Room. He happened to be at that show that I opened for my friend's performance, and he's like, "If you put together a 30-minute set, I'll book you." And I'm like, "I don't even have a band," because I was just using her band. And he's like, "Well, work it out." And so I did, and then I started playing at Largo, which is where like Tenacious D and Sarah Silverman and Zach Galifianakis. I mean, it's a comedy place in LA where all these people were performing. I just started playing there, and then from there, just crazy things started happening where, like, Mick G, the guy who directed Charlie's Angels, wanted to do a special. He wanted to film it as a concert special, and we somehow got Steven Spielberg to executive produce it, which was ridiculous. And then, then I got an Old School, and then I had an ABC pilot that was going to be a sitcom that Mick G produced, and it just, and then once the Todd Phillips stuff started happening, Starsky and Hutch and The Hangover, then we really could tour, and I did a live album, and, now we're working on another album for Comedy Central Records. Basically, it's just like the album the wedding singer from The Hangover would make on his own that he would think kicks ass.
So you started out as an actor at Emerson, and while you've appeared in a number of movies and whatnot since, you've essentially been playing yourself as a member of the Dan Band in all of these movies.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I mean, when I first got to LA, I was doing a lot of guest star spots where, look, I'm not De Niro. I wasn't like morphing into some other like crazy character, but yeah, they were all little versions of, myself ultimately. But the singing thing really didn't get going until Old School. Old School is when, and the Mick G thing. When Mick G saw the show and was like, we have to do something with it. That's when.
So did you make that sitcom pilot, or has it gone anywhere, or will it be going somewhere in the future and we're just not aware of it yet?
No, that was like 7 years ago. So that didn't, my whole thing was like, I just don't want to be like the fat guy in flannel with like a really young skinny wife. And suddenly they were like, try on this flannel thing, chubby, and hey, meet your young wife. And, once you get put into that machine, the show becomes what it's going to be. I mean, we had like the Drew Carey producers during our show, and they were awesome, and they're obviously, I like them all, but it just became a different show than Mick G and I set out to make.
We're chatting with Dan Finnerty here on AM 1460. Did this ever air? I don't recall this.
No, it didn't. We shot it as a pilot, and like, Emily Deschanel, who's on Bones now, she was my love interest, and it was fun to shoot the pilot. I mean, that was a great time, but I think we all were like, it was a pretty way out there premise.
What was the
anyway,
what was the premise of the show in a nutshell for us?
It was dad's failing bar, business is declining. I jump up at karaoke night, and I'm like going to start attracting a younger crowd. That's really what it was. And he's like, just don't do it in front of my friends at the lodge, So it was like kind of Archie Bunker dad with free-spirited, crazy son. He doesn't follow the rules. And Gerald McCraney from Major Dad and Simon played my dad.
It doesn't seem as ridiculous as some of the premises for TV shows that have made it to years over the years. I remember a few years ago there was a show about a veterinary clinic with one of the doctors being an actual monkey in a lab coat. I mean, when you take a look at that, you're like, anything can on television, right?
No, I mean, hey, that's like, I smell an Emmy. Sounds awesome.
We're chatting with Dan Finnerty of the Dan Band here on AM 1460, the new WXBR, performing Saturday night at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. You've released a Christmas album. You've released a live album, which I believe was based on your live special, which was, oddly enough, produced by the same guy that directed Schindler's List. He did your comedy special, Steven Spielberg. You have a wedding album coming out in 2014, I believe. Tell us a little bit about what that will entail, because your previous albums have been a mixture of mostly covers and some originals as well.
Yeah, the Christmas album was all originals, which is crazy because I thought, well, everyone always does covers at Christmas, so I'm going to do originals. And I think at Christmas most people want to hear some classic covers, but we did a really, I think it's a funny album of, all these kind of inappropriate Christmas songs. And that's called Ho, a Dan Band Christmas. And around the holidays, I tour around and do a holiday version of our show, and in LA we do this kind of, like, we have special guests, and Florence Henderson always comes and from the Brady Bunch and does this song with me because she was in our video, I Want to Rock You Hard This Christmas, which was pretty awesome to have her be in that. But growing up a Brady Bunch fan. But this album is just all covers. But the other album I did was a live album of our show. So it just has that live album feel with interactions with the audience, and you hear the crowd and everything. This is going to be studio versions of, like, the cheesiest wedding songs ever. So it's for all these guys who want me to come play their wedding because of the hangover in old school. And I always say, just play this CD because it's too much for your grandma to suffer through, watching me swear and thrust my pelvis and grab my crotch. And, I feel like the grandmas get up early and get their hair set and they're ready with their purse on their laps at 10 a.m. to go to their little grandson's wedding, and then they don't want to see me. They're going to choke on their chicken, and then they get nervous, and then the more nervous I get nervous when they get nervous. And we did one wedding before, and it was awful for me and the grandma. So the more I get nervous, the more I grab my crotch and swear, and it becomes like a Tourette's festival. So.
There's got to be some eccentric rich people out there that will pay top dollar to fly you in and have you perform at that wedding. Please describe the experience if you can in detail.
We've had a couple, like, NFL guys, and I think Moroccan prince or something. I don't know. It was all questionable, but we have a scare away quote where because I don't want to be a wedding singer, and nothing against wedding singers, but it's just, it's like backstage they only give you, like, chicken skewers, and you only get the appetizers. But yeah, we did Maurice Jones-Drew's wedding. People that just are like, oh, I'll pay that, which makes me think, like, I should have quoted more, higher price. But it's always fun. But I go to my default setting, which is to be, like, the obnoxious, gas station guy that I'm being on stage. And sometimes I think Maurice Jones-Drew was a little shocked, but because I was making jokes about how to his wife, like, when you guys break up, give me a call, or jokes like that. And I just saw him staring at me like I didn't know if he wanted to laugh or kick my ass.
Is he still with that girl?
I don't know. It's worth a Google.
It's worth a Google.
Yeah.
Perhaps she'll call you someday and say, Dan, were you serious?
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe she'll give you that call someday. See, I say when you have situations like that arise where you don't know whether or not you want to do a gig, just overprice yourself astronomically. And if they say yes, well, then you get this huge payday. If they say no, well, at least you didn't outright turn them down, right?
Right. Oh, that's what we do.
There you go.
I mean, that's what, yeah. And when they say yes, I go, well, now I have to do it. But which is fine because, then we're all in it together. But, yeah. Oh, but did I finish my wedding CD thing? I don't know.
Continue about that in case you didn't. I'll tell you if you did or didn't.
In case I didn't. Yeah, just this. So this wedding CD is going to be for all these guys who, can't afford to have us come play their wedding, and they could just put the CD on at the reception, and it's going to, just be all the sappiest, wedding reception songs just done, Dan band style, which is, inappropriate for most audiences at a wedding.
So for those of us that don't make the salary of NFL football players, this is what we'll use at our weddings.
Yeah, and they'll get it for, like $13.99. You can't beat that.
It's
a download.
Much cheaper than what Maurice Jones-Drew paid, I'm sure.
Yeah. Is that what a CD costs anymore? Does anyone buy a CD, or you just buy a single song?
I still buy CDs occasionally, but then again, I'm stuck in the 90s, so I think kids these days are just downloading iTunes and whatnot. It's kind of the demise of the album. Kids don't even listen to albums anymore. They listen to singles that they download.
I know. Why am I making an album? I should just make a single.
I don't know.
I just had a breakthrough.
You said a breakthrough.
This is part of the intervention? This is part of the normal process?
This is part of the intervention. We've got you off the Yelp call at least until Saturday night in Boston, and we've got you working on CD singles, or just singles rather than albums.
Yeah, I'm scrapping the album. I'm just doing a wedding single.
It's a breakthrough here.
Genius.
a breakthrough here on the Metro South Morning Show, PM in the AM. Well, Dan, this Saturday night, Wilbur Theater in Boston. One thing I also wanted to mention to you that you mentioned moments ago is that you revert back to being this gas station attendant character, which is the lead singer of the Dan Band. I saw a picture of you recently where you were not in your backwards hat gas station attendant outfit. I didn't even recognize that it was you. It must be a great thing that you have to wear that costume each and every time you perform. Therefore, if there is anyone that recognizes you somewhere, they have no idea who you are.
Yeah. What picture was it? Did I look awesome?
It was the picture that's on your Wikipedia page.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Do you look awesome in that picture? Your opinion.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to think which one it is. But, yeah. No, but also from Old School and The Hangover, I didn't wear a hat. So that's, most times that's where I get recognized. I think really the people who recognize me are just, their first thing they're looking at is like, who's that guy still trying to rock a goatee in 2013? Like, they're just embarrassed for me that I'm still doing the goatee thing. And then they go, oh my God, that's that goatee having fool from The Hangover and Old School.
It's not Fred Durst with the goatee anymore.
What's that? Fred Durst even moved on.
Yeah, he even moved on. And he's the guy that popularized it to begin with.
Yeah, I know. I shaved my goatee when I first met. I was in Stomp, the Garbage Can Show, and that's how I met my wife. And I shaved my goatee once because it was a new thing. I was just testing out a goatee, and then I shaved it, and she didn't recognize me. And then she was like, I think it's a deal breaker. So I've had the goatee ever since because, But if we break up, I'm going to shave it seconds later. If Maurice Jones-Drew's wife calls me, send me a razor.
I will do
that.
I will do that,
my friend. This chin is going to need some sunscreen.
We're chatting with Dan Finnerty here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. Dan, this Saturday night at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, it's the Dan Band.
It's an early show. It's at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
That means you can get out earlier to drink.
7 p.m., the Wilbur Theater Saturday night. Get on out earlier to drink, but don't go to Buzzy's because it's no longer there. Find yourself a Star Market or any fine eating establishment in the fine city of Boston. And, Dan, we wish you the best of luck with your performance this Saturday night. And we'd love to have you stop in the studio one of these days when you're in town.
Awesome. All right.
That's Dan.
I love
Finnerty.
Brockton.
Thank you so much, Dan. Do you really love Brockton?
One of my best friends is from Brockton.
Who's your best friend? Because where our studio is located in Brockton. You must have done your research.
Well, she's in L.A. now, but her name was Rebecca Reamer back in the day.
Rebecca Reamer. Well, tell Rebecca Reamer that Brockton misses her and that we would love to have her back sometime. And she's welcome to come as well.
All right, I'll send that on to her.
That's Dan Finnerty joining us here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. The Dan Band plays this Saturday night at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. We'll step aside for a quick breather. When we return, Mike Pava joins us with a news update.